We're with Eastern Connecticut head women's basketball coach Denise Beerley getting ready for the Little East Conference Tournament semifinals Friday night, Eastern and the University of Southern Maine at Western Connecticut State University. Denise, no surprise there, Eastern Connecticut and Southern Maine in the Little East Tournament meeting for the 21st time. It's turned into such a great tradition, hasn't it?
Right. I mean, every year we might as well just put it in that we're going to play them 3 times a year. We've done that pretty much since I've been here, and it's a great rivalry, and we're looking forward to the challenge on Friday, and just playing them on Saturday. It's the same thing that happened last year, and we've had that many years, and I think it comes down to who executes the most and who wants it the most and who will get it done. So it'll probably won't be a pretty game playing for the 3rd time, but it'll be competitive and intense, and like it always is.
The thing with this game is that there's no surprises, is there?
No, I've never found too many. I mean, there's a play here and there that the ball bounced a certain way, or somebody read the defense a certain way and they made a good decision. But it's really, there's no surprises. I mean, they've had a couple more days, I guess, to prepare for us, though. I mean, they would have had to prepare somewhat for Keene, I would think, a little bit. But yeah, I mean, we know what they're running, they know what we're running. And I think not so much that stuff, but just the player personnel. I always feel with basketball, it's the matchups. And I just think that, we know who's going to guard our kids, they know who's going to guard their kids. And it's who's going to, as I tell my players, it's the team that's willing to play the hardest that'll win the game. How hard are you willing to play to win? Because it's really about how hard, all those loose balls and all those hustle points, and who's willing to sacrifice more than the other one. So, but when you meet head to head with them, it comes down to just a couple possessions sometimes. So. Well,
you talked about the ability to play hard. Eastern played Southern Maine on Saturday in what some people said a meaningless game.
Right.
They were the 2 seed, we were the 3 seed, no matter what. But Southern Maine hits that basket at the end to force overtime.
Right.
But if you saw, and I'm sure you did, our kids come out for overtime, they could have been deflated.
Right.
That team, especially the seniors, had a lot of let's go get them. There was no backing off, right? That tells you something about this team.
Right, and I think that was so good to see, since we really didn't play well the second half at Western, and we didn't have that. We didn't play that way. And then you come back a few days later and you have to play Southern Maine. So for that, in that moment, you make a great point. It could have been such a deflation about, oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Or just like last year, we lost, by 1 and 2 points to them in consecutive games.
Right.
And we had them up there and kind of let it slip through our fingers. And they didn't. In the huddles, they were very composed. They were very positive. And hopefully these last 2 wins, even though some people could argue, well, you should have beat Keene by, well, it's the 3rd time.
That's right.
And Keene's gotten better, and they're a good team, and we're not a good matchup with them because they have a lot of guards. And it's hard for our post to match up with Cirillo and some of the kids. So, but yeah, I mean, we if anything, the 2 overtime games, I would think, give us the confidence that we have the heart, we have the guts to gut it out and to get it done. And it's with this team, I've learned it's not going to be pretty. Offensively, we just struggle at times to no end. But if we'll play defense and can keep the game in the 50s, we have a chance to win.
Well, there's players on this team that have beaten that have beaten Southern Maine in the tournament.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The seniors, the 4-year seniors have beaten them.
They
won.
They won at Southern Maine and won the AQ. That automatic qualified. Yes.
So they know what it's all about.
Yep.
They know what you're capable of doing.
Right. Right.
I was going to mention to you before the Keene game. I just want to touch on the Keene game just quickly. We're talking about the first round game here when Eastern won in overtime. Is that even if Eastern's a high seed and Keene's a low seed, they always scare you, don't they?
Oh yeah, I mean, Keene has always been a tough challenge for us. I mean, they are always well coached and they're always ready to play. And I think people are forgetting it's not 1 versus 8 and 2 versus 7.
That's right.
Eliminated.
Exactly. Good point.
It's 4 and 5 and 3 and 6.
That's right.
In history, before we started this, only 6 teams make the tournament thing. Not a 7 or an 8 seed had ever beaten a 1 or 2 seed.
That's right.
So the games are much. I mean, I know Rhode Island took care of Dartmouth. But you
They're
know,
much more competitive for first round games, right?
exactly, because you're playing, more of the top, 6 teams in the conference. And Keene, I don't care what their record would be. We just, their thing has always been the 3-point shot, and when you can hit threes, you can stay in any game. And especially with a team like ours this year, which doesn't really have this great offensive firepower, we're not really gonna, put I mean, the first semester we shot a lot better, and we did put some teams away. But
right.
But since the break in Phoenix, we just have. I guess as I say, my assistant coaches were consistently bad in shooting, so I guess that's something we're consistent in. But we're consistent in it, but maybe that's the comfort level they've fallen into, and then they know what they're good at. And they've attached their wagon to that, and we just got to gut it out and hit the shots we need to hit, and we've been very upfront with them. We need to keep the score in the 50s to win. We can't have, with these conference games, third time around, let Southern Maine score 80 points or 70 points. We're probably not going to win those games. So
it can't be any more evenly matched. I mean, you beat them by 7,
right,
and then you lost to them by 7.
Right.
So we're strictly right across the board. It's very equal.
Right.
The one thing I had a question on is that you were talking about the 3-point shot. Right. We have been, in 2 games against Southern Maine, we're shooting 17% from 3, 7 for 41. I don't want you to give away any secrets, but are you maybe going to get away from that? Or are you just going to say, hey, the shots are going to fall eventually? I mean, we take a lot of 3-pointers.
Well, we've had that whole I've tried to be, my new phrase is that I'm optimistically skeptical.
That's a good one.
Because I get optimistic that they're going to start falling, because you want to think that, and you practice, and we do shooting all the time. But I have to be realistic. So where do we need to get the ball?
Yeah.
And I do agree. I think, not like you said to give away anything, but even just to move in, I think some of our women are actually taking the 3-pointers behind the men's line. And they need to move in, because I think that Southern Maine zone is forcing us to do that, but we're not stepping into our shooting.
Okay.
And we've been working on that, trying to get kids to step in, and it's amazing what that 6 to 9 inches of stepping in improves. I haven't seen it on paper, but hopefully will improve the shooting percentage. And you've known me in my coaching. That's not 3-point shooting has not been something that we've geared our teams around. Not at all. I'm not, a big fan of the 3-point shot as far as within our offensive scheme. We also had some, Ashley McFetridge and Alcico, some post players or kids that can do other things. But my focus for our team is that we need to get a little bit, step in and be closer.
That's a good point.
Because a college player is shooting a 15-footer, which is a free throw, versus a 20-footer. It's in the women's game. It's a huge, at least for our team, it's a huge difference. So we definitely need to make that adjustment. Definitely against Southern Maine and against other teams as well. So.
Well, you alluded to it. Some of that has to do with Southern Maine. You can shoot 40% from 3 when you're playing a very weak team.
Right.
But that changes, the whole dynamic has changed when you got a zone that is pushing you out
a little further. And I think they're playing a matchup zone. So the matchup with the matchup component, not just sitting in, as I call it, a high school 2-3 zone.
Yeah, right.
You're adding the matchup component. It's forcing you, even when you drive and kick, if they're matched up to the kid, they're a little further out than just like a packed-in 2-3 zone. So, that's where we've had to make adjustments. I did think it helped us, even though we didn't shoot great, in playing Keene on Tuesday in the first round. Because Keene played a matchup 2-3 zone.
That will help.
So, hopefully, we didn't do great, but, when it came down to crunch time, we scored when we needed to score. So, the more we play against it, the more we see it. Because in the women's game, you don't see a lot of matchup zone. In the men's game, you see more of it.
Yeah.
So we don't, face that a lot. And the more that the kids face, the more they're familiar with things, obviously. So.
Well, we talked about this at the beginning, and there was talk on Saturday that Eastern Southern Maine, it wasn't a meaningful game because it wasn't going to change the seeds.
Right.
And there was some talk from the Southern Maine bench about that.
Right.
But do you look at it that way? Who wants to go into a tournament? That was maybe more important for you than them, because you didn't want to go into the tournament maybe having lost to them twice.
Well, having lost to them twice, having lost our last 2 games. And for them, I would think that they had lost 2 out of their last 3. They lost at Rick the Saturday before.
That's right.
So for them as well, and I mean, maybe they already thought they were out of the running. I don't know. I think we still have more of a chance for an at-large bid for the NCAA tournament if we can get to the finals. We're still regionally ranked 7th, right behind Western. So I don't know for them. I mean, with the loss to us, they dropped to 10th. Maybe they already thought they were out of that running. They knew they had to win the conference tournament or they were not going to make NCAAs. I don't know what their thinking was. But for us, it meant a lot for being, the Breast Cancer Awareness Day, the Senior Day. And then, like you said, you want to go into, even if it's just one win, you want to go into the tournament. And you don't think that overtime win helped us win in overtime on Tuesday? I mean, it had to. Have the confidence to do what we did on Tuesday. I mean, to be 5 for 5 and 6 for 6 and not miss a shot in overtime.
That's unheard of.
I mean, that's unheard of, especially after we had played so sporadically on offense. But yeah, so for us, I mean, those were the positives that we were focusing on, why we needed to win on Saturday. And then, like I said, just you never know what's going to happen with these regional and national committees. And if we could get to 20 wins, that's always a benchmark. I think that obviously the numbers are more complicated than just that than it used to be, but I do believe that we still have a slim chance, if we wouldn't win the tournament, to have an at-large bid. So that's why we also wanted to win the game. So that's why I didn't really, get that point of view that it was meaningless.
Yeah.
And then just a rivalry within itself. And you're a competitor. My coaching staff's competitive. Their coaching staff's competitive. The women on the team are competitive. Just it's a rivalry. Why wouldn't you want to win that game? So.
And the other point is, do you want to have a team that says, if you were coaching a team that said, well, we'll turn it off and on. This game means nothing. Oh, next week now we're going to turn it on. You don't want that mentality.
Right, and I don't believe this team, for their ups and downs this year, that they've turned it on and off. It's just they struggle offensively.
Yeah, right.
They just do. I mean, it's not out of lack of trying or we don't work on it in practice or I think you could combine the last 10 years of shooting drills into this one season that I put in because just trying to get them back on, with their shooting and their confidence. But yeah, it's not I don't think this team's ever been a turn on, turn off team. And I don't think you ever want kids like that, obviously. So, I don't think that's ever been an issue with the kids that I've been fortunate to coach. So that they've turned it on and turned it off. I mean.
Well, these seniors you have, they seem like a special group. They're extremely competitive,
yeah.
Even though they don't show it always off the court and stuff.
Right.
But how's that leadership? I mean,
they are. They definitely are, and I think it's something they grew into. I think last year was challenging for them because they had always, when they were freshmen, we had 6 seniors. When they were sophomores, we had Nikki Moore and Ashley McFetridge and. Kate Burnett and Christina Amato, so they had, and then all of a sudden, boom, all those kids are gone. Like 10 kids are gone. And now they had to be the leaders. And they're very competitive, but being competitive and just worrying about your own game is different than being competitive and I got to lead others.
Exactly.
So this year, I think they've done a better job of being competitive in their own right, but also understanding how they have to lead the other kids. And obviously, we don't have any freshmen on the team. We have, one new player.
Yeah.
So it was very different than last year with the new players outnumbered the upperclassmen.
Yeah, right.
So I think that's helped as well too. But no, they've really, especially I think the last week or so, really bonded together. And it's amazing when your back is against the wall, and if you are a competitor, are you going to come out swinging or are you going to fold? And they clearly have come out swinging. And I've just reemphasized with them, you've practiced 70 times and you've played 25 games for this 1 week. And it's unfortunate that basketball has come down to that. I guess it makes it exciting for media and fans. But, the regular season champion, they get a trophy and all that, and they should make Western pretty much knows they're in the tournament.
Right.
But it's not, you don't quite get the hullabaloo that you used to. It's more the conference tournament champion gets that accolade.
It's true.
And gets the AQ and knows they're in the tournament. So this is a big week.
Well, last question. We're just talking to some people up at Southern Maine a couple of weeks ago and asking them, what their take was on it. And they said it would be tough for them to win the conference tournament because it would be tough for them to win it because they would have to beat Eastern one night and Western the next. And it would be tough for Eastern because they would have to beat Southern Maine one night and come back and beat Western. right? I mean, that's a difficult challenge.
Yeah, difficult, but I wouldn't count Rhode Island College out. I mean, I know they're playing well. They just beat Southern Maine a week ago Saturday by double figures. I saw actually one of the Western games. It was when we had a snow out, and they were in the game. I think they have in Rachel Riley someone that actually could compete with Melissa Teal more than us and Southern Maine do. So you never know. I mean, obviously on paper you'd say, yeah, Western's in the finals. And that is hard. But I think for us, it's just you can't look as a coach or player beyond your 40 minutes in front of you.
That's the tough part. Yeah.
You just and you can't say, well, I got to hold Jess Marty's minutes back because I got to worry about Saturday. I mean, when you're playing for other things and you know, you're playing to win that game. And I feel like our players have always played that way, and I've always coached that way. And I mean, it's different if you were up 20 or something. That might be a different situation, but that's not the way the game's going to go. So you know, the team that, you know, I think, like I said, who leaves it all hang out there and doesn't even worry that there's a game on Saturday. And then you're just going on adrenaline. You really are. I mean, neither team is that deep, and I mean, none of the teams are at this point, obviously. I mean, if they go 7 deep, that's about how they go. And
that's about it, yeah.
I mean, that's at this level, that's what you have. So, you know, for us, we want to win on Friday, and we'll deal with Saturday when we wake up on Saturday.
So for the 21st time in 25 years, it'll be Eastern Connecticut and the University of Southern Maine in the Little East Tournament. They're going to meet Friday night at 7:30 at Western Connecticut State University. Denise, thank you very much.
Thank you.